This coming week, we start our 40-day journey of Lent, and the readings today are quite apt as we start to think about the Lenten journey ahead and what we might like to grow and how would we like to improve. How do we want our heart to be better by the time we get to the end of Lent? The Gospel reading this week has two particular focuses that I want to just touch on today. The first is one that I've talked about before. And Jesus is talking about, why do you notice the splinter in your brother or sister's eye, but not fail to recognize the log in your own eye? And it's this whole thing of our world at the moment, isn't it? We're just super critical. And the more that we become super critical, the more I think we come to bear bad fruit. And that's the second part of the gospel today. Jesus talking about a tree that produces rotten fruit or a tree that produces good fruit. So this casting of judgment, of noticing the splinter, of always finding fault, it's so much part of our world this day. And often when I'm sitting in the confessional, I'll have people coming and talking about these sort of things. I just find myself so judgmental. And I really want to change. And I often say to people, well, sometimes we should recognise the faults and the other, but we should never just stay there. If someone really getting under your skin saying, Lord, this aspect of this person really irritates me, but at the same time, Lord, this is the goodness I see in them as well. Don't stay with the negative. Always look for the good as well. If we look for the negative, we'll always find the negative. But if we look for the good, we'll always find the good. And more often than not, the goodness in each other and in ourselves far outweighs that which is negative. I think the fruits of too much negativity are bitterness, cynicism, anger, and this festering, gnawing away of our heart and our capacity to love. And is that the kind of heart that you or I want to have? I know it's always a challenge for me. That challenge to take a deep breath, look again, and look for the good. Lent is about looking to our heart, looking at the mirror and letting ourselves point at the splinter or the logs in our eyes and thinking, wow, what do I need to get rid of? How do I want my heart to be better? The spiritual weapons of Lent are prayer, fasting, and almsgiving. Remember the great command that Jesus gave us, that we must love the Lord our God with all our heart, with all our mind, our soul, and our neighbour as ourself. Prayer is obviously about getting our heart right with God. Fasting, it's putting ourselves not at the centre of everything, not fulfilling my needs for everything. And almsgiving, it's about reaching out to others. It's about the heart. A heart that sees the goodness of God in others and in ourselves, and that leads us to praise God even more. I hope you have a great and holy Lent, but in the meantime, in these days leading into Lent, maybe start to think, what would I like to change in my heart? And how can the spiritual weapons of Lent, prayer, fasting, and almsgiving help me to achieve that change in heart? God bless you all.